Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
Waiver Wire.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends. Oh, the voice is back, baby. I'm all healed up and loud as a motherfucker, ready to give you what you want. Obviously feeling a little bit better. Voice is all the way back. I still, there's a little scratchiness in there, but yeah, it was weird. It made me realize that I'm a chatty motherfucker, as y'all know. My Waiver Wire subscribers that come here, they know. This is one chatty motherfucker. He can talk for an hour by himself, just talking to the goddamn walls. But we're back. Crazy week of football, starting with last night. We won't. It's my second down. We'll talk about it here. But yeah, it's a crazy week of football. We watched some things though. Sunday night we watched The Glass Onion, the Knives Out sequel to the first movie that they made, and it was good. I'm not gonna say it was bad. It was good. I enjoyed it. It had me locked in. Spoiler alert, I guess I don't know how explosions work because it seems as though they all should have died in the massive explosion at the end of the movie. She blows up the house that he made in this incredible facility with this hydrogen stuff. And I mean, it looks like everybody in the building definitely should have died, but then they all come out. None of them are even severely hurt. They're all just kind of like, man, why would you do that? It was like, okay, I guess so. And my only other problem is that I kind of feel like when you do the twin thing, when you're like, I'm an identical twin, and that actually wasn't her. It's a little bit of a cop out as far as writing goes, but I still thought it was good. I thought Daniel Craig was really good in it. I think Edward Norton's probably the worst in it, it's not that he's bad. It's just, this is a weird character for him. I don't know if he necessarily fits this character, but it was a choice. And, some of the other people in it too, the Dave Bautista was all right. And it was altogether was not a bad movie. It kept me engaged for 2 hours and I wanted to watch it till the end. My wife was out. She was like, can we turn this off? But I was like, no, we're going to fight to the end. Yeah. And then, the other thing we watched was the 3-part little documentary on Netflix called Don't Pick Up the Phone, I believe it's called. Another crazy documentary just about how fucked up people are. Me and my wife were more blown away by how stupid the people doing the strip search. Like, if you're a manager at a fucking McDonald's, you really think the cops are going to call you and tell you to do a strip search where you got to put your fingers in some pussy? You really think that? And in the one, he got the guy all the way to where the girl was giving him head. Like, checking the inside of your balls with her mouth to see if the wallet's in there. Did you find any wallets on her nipples? No? Okay. Well, keep going, because you will. I promise you that. If there's one thing I know about nipples, is that wallets fall out. Have her do some jumping jacks. Did a wallet fall out of her puss? What about her butt? Get in her butt. Dig up in her butt like a fucking anteater. I think that there was enough to prosecute the guy. He does not, the guy that makes all these prank phone calls. Oh, I guess I should explain maybe if you haven't seen it, but there's a guy who is calling up managers on like a McDonald's, random McDonald's, and saying, hello, this is the police department. You have an employee that she fits this description. She's a brunette. She's about this tall. He doesn't know. He's just fucking throwing darts up against the wall, hoping that he hits one. And he says, now she's robbed a customer. She's taken a wallet or something from a customer. She can either come down here to the station and we can search her here, or you can search her there in the office. And so a lot of these girls are like, well, I don't want to go down to the police station, so yeah, you can just search me here. Like, I don't have anything on me. And it gradually gets more and more. Okay, well, have her take her bra off, and what size is her cup? cup size? All right. That's good. Oh, that's good. How can you not hear the guy on the other side jerking off? There's a lot of questions that I have of the whole thing, but they find the guy, they find him, they track down the calling cards that he's calling from, and they track him down, and he's a correctional officer that works in Panama City, Florida, and they get him, they arrest him, they do the whole thing, and just can't seem to have enough evidence to where they could prove it was him on this phone, and so he goes free, not guilty. Absolutely crazy documentary, though. It's definitely worth a little watch. You just can't believe that some of the shit that went down happened, but it's a good little Netflix doc. The other thing that I need to bring up, and I need to stand on the hill and say, you motherfuckers, listen here. So I want to talk about players that have played 20 seasons, okay? First of all, to play your 20th season, to be in your 20th season, which he is right now, Udonis Haslem is also still playing. He is on his 20th season as well. He is 42 years old. Now, I would just like a quick comparison between Udonis Haslem and LeBron James of what they're doing for their team and how they're playing at their age. Okay? Just take that for what it is, okay? Now let's talk about the other people that have played that many seasons. So the all-time record is 22 seasons. That's Vince Carter. Vince Carter was very good. Now, his last, 2018 to 2020, so his last 2 years in the league, he was on the Atlanta Hawks. I would argue to say he wasn't, he was a bench player. He was a role player. He came in and gave him some minutes, and it was fine. Was he the starting small forward? Could be in the MVP conversation, is probably another, he's got another all-star notch on his belt. He's going to probably be at least second team All-NBA. I would go as far to say the way he's playing, you could be first team All-NBA. Okay. Jason Tatum's probably going to take that from him, but okay. The people that have played 21 seasons, we have a few of them. Robert Parrish. I can't necessarily dispute or debate that. I know he played for a very long time. He's won a lot of championships with the Boston Celtics. He's apparently a big part of that Boston Celtics team back then in the 80s. And, I have no doubt that he was an incredible player and that he played. I would go as far to say I doubt he was scoring at the level that my guy's scoring at now. But, okay, we continue on here. Kevin Willis. 21 seasons. Another guy, he was a Houston Rocket for a little bit. I love that. And he just kind of bounced around at the end of his career. I would say he was never a huge part of the offense or a all-star or anything like that. Once he got later on to his career, he was a good player. I like Kevin Willis, but not somebody that I would consider all-time. We have Kevin Garnett, who played 21 seasons. Now, Kevin Garnett was a Brooklyn Net for the last 2 years of his career. If you remember those Brooklyn Net teams, and especially Kevin Garnett, there wasn't much left. I mean, even the last year in the Boston Celtics, not much left in the tank. He had played, for a very long time and was just not himself. And then, oh, by the way, his very last year, he went back to the Minnesota Timberwolves and was kind of a veteran leader in that group. So you can even say his 21st season, not really a season. He barely played. He wasn't much in that season. Then we go to the Dallas Mavericks with the Dirk Nowitzki. This is actually a pretty good one. I think this is a pretty good, if you want to actually throw somebody in my face, Dirk Nowitzki is a pretty good example of somebody who played late on to their career. Now, at the end of his career, he was not scoring on the level that he's scoring right now. Now, I know LeBron's got another year. If you think it's going to slow down next year, good on you. But yeah, so then we go, and those are the people that have just played 21. So Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Willis, and Robert Parrish. I've got 5 people ahead of him right now. Do you think he's not going to play next year? Okay. Then in his category, the 20 that gets a little bigger, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Jamal Crawford, very good player, Udonis Haslem, LeBron James. Those are the people that have played 20 seasons. Now, he is a better player than Jamal Crawford, People are going to argue about Kobe Bryant and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to pass them next year when he jumps into this 21 club. I would go as far to say he's going to play till he plays with his kid, and that's going to at least be 23 seasons. I think he knows that Vince Carter has that record at 22 seasons, and he's ready to go. Let's talk about games played, because this was an astounding number to me that I didn't realize he was that far behind. In his 20 seasons, he's only played 1,394 games. So there are lots of people ahead of him in the game category, Robert Parrish being the most. He has 1,611 games. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has 1,560 games. Vince Carter has 1,541 games. Dirk Nowitzki at 1,522 games. So I guess what I'm seeing here on the games played, a lot of these guys, John Stockton, Karl Malone, even Kevin Garnett, Kevin Willis, Jason Terry right ahead of him at number 9. But LeBron should pass him later on this year. So I guess what I'm saying is I see a lot of health that has caused. There's a reason that Kobe Bryant's not on this list, that Michael Jordan's not on this list. Kobe Bryant's actually a little bit lower. He's right there. He's number 15. But yeah, there's a reason, and that's for health. Karl Malone, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, one of the things about them that continued on for them to be in these Iron Men was that they didn't miss games. LeBron, for a lot of his career, has not missed games. Vince Carter was an Iron Man. He played through a lot of injuries, and he didn't miss a lot of seasons. But you have guys like Kobe Bryant that miss whole seasons. You have guys like Michael Jordan who were too mentally weak and they had to retire. So, man, my guy's just doing unbelievable things. Last night he went off for 40-something and got them a win again. He's 38. He's not supposed to be doing this anymore. On his 38th birthday, he scored 47. And then I believe last night he scored 43, 42, something like that. After 38, Michael Jordan scored 8 games over 40. LeBron now has 2 on 2 games played. I would venture to say that's probably not his last 40 burger. And my man's the GOAT. My man's the GOAT for many different reasons. I've said them all, and I'll say them again. LeBron James, you are the GOAT.
First down.
Oh, the Tom Brady hour is a victorious hour. Man, I got to tell you, too, going into this game, I was not confident. I was like, man, I don't know. This is going to be a really tough game. Carolina's been playing really well, and Tampa Bay has not. And, hey, Mike Evans, thanks. Thanks for doing this now. You couldn't have done this earlier in the year when I fucking needed it, but thanks. But I mean, wow, they just came to life, didn't they? They were down, I think it was 21-10 going into the fourth quarter. And you think, well, there's no way they're going to come back. The way that they've played offense, I have the hiccups. The way that they've put points on the board. The fact that they're the worst running team in the league, they're the worst rushing attempts, the worst, Leonard Fournette completely disappeared. Mike Evans hasn't scored a touchdown in 11 weeks, in months. You just thought there's no way this is going to happen. And then I don't know what happens. My guy goes over there and just says, you know what? And I think finally what happened is that Byron Leftwich and Tom Brady said, fuck this shit. We're going to throw the ball down the field. And if they pick us off, they pick us off. But at least we're going to go out swinging, and we're going to try our damnedest to win this game. And they did. Couple of beautiful bombs. The one that went about 60 yards in the air that hit him fucking in stride was like, Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. He 432 yards, 3 touchdowns, all to Mike Evans. A lot of that came in the fucking fourth quarter when it matters most, when my man needs to nut up. They went for 2 and they missed it, and then that kind of seemed like, oh shit. Well, now what? Now you're not going to be able to get this back. And they did. They came in. They scored a touchdown. It's just incredible. And I'll tell you this much: do you want to play Tampa Bay when they look like that? Do you want to play Tampa Bay when their defense is getting 3 big turnovers when they needed them most? And I mean, listen, I think it's all but set in stone at this point. Dallas has a slim chance if Philadelphia loses and Dallas wins, they could jump into the number 1 seed and they could lose, and then Philly would go down, and it would be Philly going to Tampa Bay, which is not what Philly wants at all. But I think right now, if I had to guess, I would say that what's his name? Jalen Hurts is going to come back, and they're going to beat the Giants. The Giants don't necessarily need this game at all. They're already clinched. They're already clinched in that 5 spot. They're not going to be able to get to the 6 spot. They're not going to be able to get to the 5. I wouldn't imagine that they're going for broke in this game. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to try to beat the Philly other than just for pride. But yeah, I would imagine Philly wins, and so Dallas is going to have to go to Tampa Bay. The Cowboys fans don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that smoke. And I get it. You know, the Buccaneers have not looked great, but they did at the end of this game. At the end of this game, Mike Evans is catching balls like that. You're in trouble, big trouble. So I was very impressed. Tom Brady, man, don't ever count the motherfucker. I don't give a shit. I'm done. I'm done counting him out. They're my pick to win the Super Bowl. I won't let off of you. I won't let off this time, Tom. I believe in you. I know that you do this kind of thing for fun. This is just for fun. Oh, lead a comeback. You know, you have everybody talking down on you, saying there's no way. There's no way. There is a way. His name, Tom Brady.
Second down.
Well, had to start off with the Tom Brady hour just because that's the way that we roll here. But, I mean, really the biggest news and the craziest thing that happened, I guess it's just fresh on everybody's mind. We were all hyped for this game, Buffalo at Cincinnati, Monday Night Football. It was going to be a great game. We got a future playoff game coming up. Both of these teams are going to be deep in the playoffs. We were excited. Started off, Swaggy Joey doing his thing, leading them down the field, scoring a touchdown. Buffalo drove down the field, kicked a field goal, not quite, but we thought, man, we're in for a barn burner here. And T. Higgins catches a pass and hits DeMar Hamlin. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I knew that name before, but DeMar Hamlin, he hits him in the chest pretty hard. I mean, it seemed like a normal, you know, he kind of lowered his shoulder into DeMar's chest, and they went down together. And DeMar Hamlin stands up and then immediately like seized up, like just and then went straight back. It was a crazy thing to see. It wasn't a head trauma. You knew it wasn't head because of where he got hit. He didn't get hit in the head. He got hit in the chest. But just so crazy that he was bleeding out of his mouth. He had cardiac arrest. He flatlined on the field. They were doing CPR and then had to bring a defibrillator to shock him back. I think he's still in critical condition. I didn't just look. I mean, I think everybody's been kind of hitting up ESPN just to see what's happened. Is he still alive? But yeah, DeMar Hamlin, man, that was a crazy scene. It really shows you that this game is super violent. And I mean, I think it was a routine play. I don't think it was something that was necessarily a huge collision that you don't see all the time. I think this is maybe a pre-existing condition. Maybe he had a heart condition that he didn't know about. But this is bad for now that, as far as I know, I think the Buffalo players went back to Buffalo. So I know that Ohio, New York area is really not that far from each other, and they could travel back if they need to. But now, when do they finish this game? They have to. I mean, especially for where we're at in the playoffs. I mean, everybody needed this game. Cincinnati needed this game. Buffalo needed this game. This was going to be a really great, close game. So, man, insane. My thoughts out to DeMar Hamlin's family. I guess it makes sense that you couldn't go on to play, that the players were too shaken and really wanted to know what was going on with him. But, I mean, you've seen it before where guys get carted off in an ambulance and they play the game. This was a big game, big Monday Night Football game. I'm sure ESPN had something to say about this. I'm sure that Disney called down and said, look, this is bad look if we go on and play this game with everybody as upset as they are. So it'll be really interesting. We'll probably find out here later on today what happens, but we don't know the end of that game. Cincinnati led 7-3. I believe there was like 5 minutes left in the first quarter. So, man, crazy. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's all good. Thoughts out to the DeMar Hamlin's family. Wild.
Third down.
All right, week 17 in the books. It had some clinching stuff happen. We had some people eliminated. We're going to go through it here pretty quickly. We had a Thursday night game with Josh Dobbs showing up, Baker Mayfield style, just got there, having to face a very good defense, and actually did okay. They were hanging in there. It was not a blowout the way that people assumed. Early in the game, it turned out that way. Dallas did score in the last 4 minutes. They scored, I think, 14 unanswered, and really kind of put them away. Dallas is beatable. If Tennessee can hang in there, I'm just saying, you got to go to Tampa Bay. Dallas does not want this. But yeah, they were a 10-point favorite, and they did cover. They ended up scoring a bunch at the end of that game and pulling away from them 27-13. Tennessee, man, they really seem dead in the water. I think that they don't really like Malik Willis. I think they're going to play for the win or go home. The Saturday night, whoever wins this game is in the playoffs. Tennessee at Jacksonville. I think they're going Josh Dobbs. So Tannehill out for the year. I don't like Tennessee's chances in that game. I think Jacksonville's going to roll. But yeah, they did cover the 10 points. I picked Dallas in this, and I was right. I was right a lot. I got 10 out of the 15. There are 16 games. Cincinnati is up 7-3. It could be 11 out of the 16, but I got 10 right, motherfucker. MyBookie.com. Hit me up, bitch. But yeah, Dallas ended up rolling over Tennessee Thursday Night Football. Jacksonville at Houston went exactly how we planned it. That's exactly what we want. We want Bryce Young. We want that number 1 pick. So Jacksonville rolled over us 31-3. Houston is absolutely awful in every aspect. Honestly, Bryce Young isn't going to solve the problem either. Bryce Young is cool, and I want him, but we got a lot of other issues. We can't rush the passer. We can't defend the pass. We can't defend the rush. Our defense is terrible. Our offense isn't much better. Our offensive line is basically just Laramie Tunsil. And I'm not a fan of Houston right now. We got to fix a lot. Arizona at Atlanta. Atlanta was a 3.5 point. Oh, and I picked Jacksonville in that. Got that right. They were only a 4-point favorite. I think 31's bigger than 3 by 4. Arizona at Atlanta. Now, I don't know why I disrespected Atlanta this way, mostly because, they've got the backups of the backups in there at Arizona. The season is all but over. But I just kind of thought, I thought it'd be a close game, and I thought maybe Arizona would win. I haven't liked the new Desmond Ridder kid that Atlanta's been throwing out there. I probably would have gone with Marcus Mariota after I've seen the way that he's played, but I get it. You're kind of playing to next year. And so Arizona lost this game in a last-second field goal. They are a bad team, so they deserve that loss. But there was 19-20, so I did cover the points. Not a lot to write home here about Arizona and Atlanta. Chicago at Detroit. Chicago, another very bad team. I like Justin Fields, and I like certain aspects of the team, but they are just one of the worst. We really can't have them lose next week and us win. That loses us the number 1 pick. That is a no for me. So let's go Chicago, get this win. And Houston, oh man, we're going to Indianapolis. Oh, fuck. But Detroit rolled 41-10, keeping their playoff hopes alive. They need some help, though. Detroit's going to need some help, but they did end up beating the shit out of a bad Chicago Bears team here and covering. So I got that right. I got 4 in a row. I'm fucking killing it. Denver at Kansas City. Denver was a 13.5 point favorite. I even mentioned that this was a big number and it made me nervous, but I can't pick Denver. I can't pick Denver and I can't pick the Raiders. So I wasn't allowed based on my rules. So I did take Kansas City in the 13.5, but I really did think the points were too big here, and they were. Denver hung in this game, actually played really well. I don't know if they played really well or Kansas City kind of played down to their opponent. Can't really read it too much, but Kansas City got the win 27-24. Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes thing. Travis Kelce, man. Number 1 pick next year, Travis Kelce. Now, this game had a lot to do with the playoffs, mostly because it all but eliminated Miami. I don't think they're completely out of it. I think there is a long shot if everybody loses. We'll talk about it a little bit more coming up. But Miami, man, with Skylar Thompson out there because Teddy Bridgewater broke his finger. They're doing everything they can to stay in these games, but they just, without Tua and without, they don't have quite enough. I like Miami a lot going forward. I think Mike McDaniels is the guy. I did think that Miami would outright win this game, but they covered the 3.5 points that New England was favored by, so I got this right. But it was 21-23. This means for New England, I believe if they win, they're in. I believe is the route that they have to go. So if New England beats Buffalo, they are in. If Miami beats the Jets and New England loses, and I believe they are in. If New England loses and Miami loses and Pittsburgh wins, I believe Pittsburgh is in. I believe those are the scenarios that we're looking for. New England is winning in. Miami needs some help, and Pittsburgh also needs some help. But like I said, Miami just not quite there. I'm not sold on New England either. I mean, I just don't really like it. If they are the 7th seed, I think they get absolutely waxed by whoever. It's either going to be Cincinnati or Buffalo or Kansas City at that number 2 spot. They are going to get demolished in that first round. There is no way one of those 3 teams is going to lose to New England. So, or Miami or Pittsburgh for that matter. So the 7th seed doesn't really matter, but it still is up for grabs. Indianapolis at the Giants. Indianapolis, a dead team. Jeff Saturday's done what he can, but the Giants look good. The Giants came out and did what they had to do against a bad team. I picked the Giants in this because the Colts have looked terrible, and they rolled 38-10, clinching that number 6 spot. New Orleans at Philadelphia. This was Gardner Minshew. This was kind of showing that they really do need Jalen Hurts. Now, I think New Orleans' defense is pretty good, and I think that sometimes they'll come out really rocking and ready to play. And I think that's what happened here. I think that New Orleans was just playing at the top of their ability. Philly really needs Jalen Hurts back. They really do because they've played so well all year. It would suck to now lose the home field advantage and have to go on the road and be in Tampa Bay for your first round. That is not the road. They want to rest. They want Jalen Hurts to get 100% healthy. So I think Jalen Hurts comes out, wins this game against the New York Giants, puts on his cape, and saves the day. But they did not cover. Philly was a 6.5 point favorite. I thought they could win by a touchdown, but they did not. They lost 20-10. So really, really bad showing from Gardner Minshew too. Carolina at Tampa Bay. We talked about. I got this right because Tampa Bay was a 3-point favorite, and I covered. And I don't know how I got it right because I really thought Carolina was going to win the game, but they didn't. 24-30. Tom Brady. Cleveland at Washington. Washington was a 2-point favorite at home, and let me tell you, I thought, okay, they got to take care. They could be eliminated if they lose this game, and they played like shit. They absolutely played like shit. Carson Wentz played like shit. Ron Rivera might have got himself fired. All in one game. In one game, you can change your stars just like that. Taylor Heineke will go be a backup somewhere. I don't know what will happen to Carson Wentz. Who cares? But yeah, Cleveland, I've got to say, Deshaun hasn't looked great, but he's finding ways to win the game. And, he's the connection with Amari Cooper is there, and the weapons are going to show up, and they're going to be, I'm telling you, I'm in on the Browns. I'm in on the Browns. I'm in on the Dolphins. I'm in on the Detroit Lions. I'm in on Jacksonville Jaguars. There's some teams next year that I was not in on last year that I am in on. The Jets, I'm in. The Seattle Seahawks, y'all got me. There's a couple of really good young teams that I did not see coming, and Cleveland, I see it coming. But Washington knocked out of the playoffs with that loss, and then Green Bay win, and I believe the Seattle win. I believe that knocked Washington out. 24-10. San Francisco at the Las Vegas Raiders. And what do the Raiders do? What did they do? They were up early. They were looking good. I got to say, Brock Purdy, man, holy shit. He's not bad. He's pretty good. They're in a tough situation. Let's say he takes you to the NFC Championship game, plays really, really well, but just gets outdueled just slightly by Jalen Hurts or Tom Brady or something like that. Wow. I mean, what a crazy story that Brock Purdy could now make them think, I don't think that we should do this. I don't think that it should be. I don't think it should be Trey Lance. I mean, they're in a tough situation, but they got this win, 37-34. They were a 5.5 point favorite, and I went with San Francisco here because I do not select the Raiders. The Raiders did lose this game, so I was right about that. But they did not cover the 5.5 points, so I got this wrong. I actually went through a little three game losing streak here. I was like, oh, and this is what I do. I always fuck it up at the end. But no, I totally redeemed myself. The Raiders. I'm out on the Raiders. Fuck off on the Raiders. I don't want Tom Brady to go to the Raiders, although we will talk about my predictions coming up. Then we have the New York Jets lay a fucking egg. Mike White was back. Who knows if he was 100%, but he was back. They were going to Seattle. They were a 2.5 point favorite on the road because of the way that Seattle's been playing. But this was kind of the Seattle from the beginning of the year. They played good defense. They ran the ball with Kenneth Walker, and they looked really good. Geno Smith was making the right choices. I believe Tyler Lockett played, and they just skunked. They skunked them 6-23. The Jets lost. I went with the Jets in this. To keep themselves alive in this, they would win the game, but they lost and they were officially eliminated from the playoffs. Seattle kept their hopes alive, though. That, like I said, they need some help. They need Green Bay to lose, and they got to win, and then that means they're in. So the scenarios in the NFC is that if Green Bay beats Detroit, they're in. Win and in. That's the Sunday night football game. Green Bay wins that game, they're in. If the Seattle Seahawks win and Green Bay loses, if the Seattle Seahawks beat, who are they playing, the Los Angeles Rams, then they are in. If the Detroit Lions beat the Green Bay Packers, now they need the Seahawks to lose. They're rooting for the Rams, but if the Seahawks lose and the Lions win, they're in the playoffs. So there's a lot of those scenarios going into Week 18. Very exciting for a couple of these games. The Jets, they need a quarterback. They need a new quarterback, and they're going to have to go looking. They're going to have to go hunt for one because I don't believe that Zach Wilson is going to be able to play there anymore, and Mike White's just not quite it. So we're going to go into my predictions coming up here. So Minnesota at Green Bay. This was supposed to be a big game. Minnesota was going to prove themselves. They were going to show that Green Bay is truly done. They were going to knock them out of the playoffs. And Green Bay came and punched them right in the mouth and said, we don't care that you have 12 wins. We don't think you're that good of a team. And I agree. I don't think they're that good of a team either. I think that Green Bay just exposed them. I think that their first round will be against the New York Giants, and I think that the Giants are going to beat them. The Minnesota is all but locked in that 3 spot. The Giants are locked in at that 6 spot. I don't think you see a movement there, and I think the Giants go into Minnesota and they get that win. I really do. I don't believe in Minnesota. I haven't all year. New York Giants playing good defense, and that clearly is the Achilles heel to Minnesota. If you can lock up Justin Jefferson and you can play good defense on Kirk Cousins, they fall apart. 17-41. I took Green Bay. I was right. They covered the 3 points that they were favored in, and they absolutely demolished them, kept their playoff hopes alive. Now they just got to win and in, just like New England. They win, they're in. The Rams at the Chargers. The Chargers were a 6.5 point favorite. I thought easy money, and it was. Not a big deal for the Chargers. I wonder if they even played all their starters the whole game, but Baker Mayfield getting exposed a little bit in this game. 10-31. Chargers locked into that 6th spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens were a 3-point favorite. I didn't really understand it with the way that Pittsburgh's been fighting in these games and the fact that it was Travis Huntley or whatever his name is. And I just thought, I doubt it very much. And I picked Pittsburgh in this to stay alive. Mike Tomlin's a good coach, and he has proven that even with a bunch of young players, a new team, he will fight, and he will do a damn good job, and he did. So 16-13, I got this one right to give me my 10th right pick, and I did pick Cincinnati over Buffalo, and so we'll see what happens when they run that game back. But I think that I'm right. I think that Cincinnati's going to get the win. Cincinnati's been rolling. So week 7.
Fourth down.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the quarterback movement. We're going to have some quarterbacks move. That is a faux show. I think it all starts with my guy, Tom Brady. Jimmy Garoppolo is another one, too. I think those two big pieces have got to fall. Now, there are some other things that I think are going to happen. Derek Carr being traded is one of them. And I think that the reason that I believe that is obviously he can't come back and play for this team. He can't be benched for poor play and then basically say we don't believe in you. And I think that that's because they're making their play for Tom Brady. But the first step to getting Tom Brady is that they're going to have to trade Derek Carr. So I believe that is step number 1 of the offseason. I believe after that piece, Tom Brady will then go to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't want that. I want for Tennessee Titans to somehow find a way out from under Ryan Tannehill, possibly trade him away, and then Brady could go to the Tennessee Titans. I don't think it's going to happen. I also want Tom Brady to go to the San Francisco 49ers as a free agent, them to tell Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, y'all just learn from this guy, learn how to win, and let him go win another Super Bowl. But I don't know if that happens. I think that there might be a Josh McDaniels reuniting. I know that they already tried. Dana White already spilled the beans that they did try to get him already. So I could see that being a thing. I think he likes the idea of winning for a new team, a new stadium, all that, all that jazz. I would hope that Tennessee or San Francisco can talk him out of that just for my benefit because I want him to win, and I don't think the Raiders give him the best chance to win. You got to play Mahomes and Herbert and not really the Broncos, but you do got to play them. But that's the next big move to make. So I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders are going to trade Derek Carr to the New York Jets. I believe this for a couple different reasons. I think that the Raiders will take Zach Wilson in this trade because I think that in their mind, we go get Brady. We have Brady for maybe the next 1 to 2 years, and we let Zach Wilson learn behind Brady. And we try to clean that up because obviously Derek Carr is in it. And if we don't like what we see from Zach Wilson, then we'll draft a quarterback in the next 2 drafts because we do get draft picks back. Okay? The Jets don't have a lot to offer, but if someone will take Zach Wilson out from under him, I think it's I think the reason that I did this, it's mutually beneficial. They get a quarterback that's not named Zach Wilson, that Robert Saleh can say, you know what? I can try to win with a veteran that's been in this league. Now, Derek Carr sucks. This is a bad move for the New York Jets, but that's the kind of moves that the New York Jets like to move. There's a couple of different ways that doesn't happen. Maybe they can't get out from under Derek Carr. Maybe they don't want to lose Zach Wilson. Maybe they don't give up on any of that and they just push forward. I doubt that very much, but it's possible. But I believe those are the first 2 big moves. Now, what happens when Tom Brady leaves Tampa Bay? That leaves a team that theoretically has a good team and will still be in contention if they have a quarterback. I believe that's where Jimmy Garoppolo signs as a free agent. I believe Jimmy Garoppolo sees the path that Tom Brady just made and probably will do okay in the playoffs. I think they beat Dallas. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo looks at that and goes, okay, there are a couple places that Jimmy Garoppolo will have his choice of. New Orleans being one of them, Atlanta being one of them, Carolina being one of them, Washington being one of them, the Vegas Raiders possibly, Indianapolis Colts, and the New York Jets. I believe that there are some people that are going to draft high. The Colts have the 5th pick as of we speak right now. The Texans have the 1st pick. So I believe that Bryce Young will go to the Houston Texans. I believe the Colts will find a way to get CJ Stroud. I don't know if they have to move up. They might, but I think that they end up drafting CJ Stroud, and I believe those are the quarterbacks for the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans going forward. So I don't think that he has those spots to go to. I've said about the Jets and the Raiders where I believe those are going to go, and I think that if he looks at the teams, especially in the NFC South, I mean, New Orleans has a good defense, and it could be a good fit there, or he just, he walks on to where Tom Brady was, and he just kind of takes over for his former mentor, and he plays with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and he does a good job. I think that's a good fit for Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess I should say. I believe that the other drafted quarterbacks in this league are going to be Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. Now, I believe Anthony Richardson might find himself in a situation where he doesn't immediately start, but I think Will Levis is going to get taken pretty high. I'm going to guess that the New Orleans Saints, with a lot of picks, are going to move up and get Will Levis after he has a nice combine. So I believe the Saints will end up with Will Levis, and that I think the Carolina Panthers at the 8th pick could pick Anthony Richardson. The Atlanta Falcons are the 6th pick right now, and that might be another spot that he goes to. If he does go to the Atlanta Falcons, I could see him starting there immediately. But for some reason, I have a feeling that Carolina is going to hold on to Sam Darnold and draft a quarterback and let him develop, because that's what they should do. That's me giving a lot of common sense to Carolina, and that might not necessarily be the case, but that's what I see happening. I'm going to put Taylor Heineke as going to one of these NFC South teams that is not either the Atlanta Falcons draft high and they go and get somebody, or the Carolina Panthers draft somebody high and they go get somebody and they get rid of Sam Darnold, and he might float out there in the ether for a little bit. But I kind of think that it's the Atlanta Falcons that are not going to draft a quarterback and maybe go get Taylor Heineke. I think he's better than Marcus Mariota. I think he's better than this Desmond Ridder kid. I think it's not a bad move. I think that Washington can't run it back with him. They lost confidence in him, and I don't believe they think he's going to win them a Super Bowl. Carolina possibly could, but that's kind of a same thing that you had with Sam Darnold. Then there's Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield does get a job. Unfortunately for my friend Honor, I believe it's with the Washington Commanders. I think that they don't like Carson Wentz. I think that's very obvious. There is a chance that they could move up in this draft and try to go get someone. I would not put it past them to love Will Levis or Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud for that matter and trade the farm to go up and get him. I don't think the Texans give up that number 1 pick. I think they stick with Bryce Young. But if not, I could see Washington being the last kind of spot that makes sense, and then they go and they just go ahead and they deal with it there. The other team that has a high draft pick because of Russell Wilson is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, after a Pro Bowl year, it would be strange to me if they didn't just go forward with Geno Smith. It's possible because he is Geno Smith, and I'm not a huge advocate for him. It is possible, and I would not be totally shocked if with the number 2 pick, they'll have the number 2 or 3 pick somewhere in there. But the Seattle Seahawks, if they took CJ Stroud or they took somebody for the future and then start Geno Smith next year, it wouldn't completely shock me. San Francisco's in an interesting spot. What do? The Rams are kind of an interesting spot. Are they drafting for the future? They don't have a first-round pick, but are they trying to find somebody that maybe they can get in the second round to replace Matt Stafford at some point? The Detroit Lions are the number 7 pick at the moment, and there is a world where they're not crazy about Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is good, and I think that he deserves another contract. He's up after this year, though. He will be a free agent, I believe. So, a lot of moving parts. I've got 10 out of the 32 that I said could possibly have new quarterbacks. That I think it's a pretty safe bet that there's a new quarterback there. I didn't really talk about Ryan Tannehill, but I do believe that Tennessee might want to try to move on from that. I don't think they love Malik Willis, so it'd be interesting. This draft is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a crazy offseason. I believe the first step, Derek Carr being traded. I think it could happen early just so that they can get it over with and figure out what they're going to do. But yeah, should be very interesting.
Fourth down. Fifth down.
So, week 18. It's going to be a barn burner. Going to be some good games. Going to be some games I don't give a fuck about. Red zone, you stay away from the don't give a fuck abouts, okay? We got starting off on Saturday, taking advantage of no college football. That's what the NFL does. We've got two really good games, and then Kansas City's going to beat the shit out of the Raiders. But, you know, Baltimore at Cincinnati, I think is going to be the first game on that Saturday. This is a very interesting game because now we don't know. Let's say that they delay this replay of this game until after week 18. They do it in like a weird in-between time. I don't even know. This is unprecedented. So, but Cincinnati could definitely need this win, not only to clinch the division, but put them still in that hunt for the number one seed. Cincinnati's definitely going to play hard in this game. I don't believe they win, especially if Lamar Jackson doesn't play. No Lamar Jackson, you can go ahead and write the check for Cincinnati. They'll get this win. But this should be a really good game. There wasn't a spread yet. I don't know if it's because they're still trying to decide what the hell do we do with this next game. Kansas City at the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not kidding when I say Kansas City's going to beat them badly. The Raiders are a bad team, and I think Kansas City wants to prove a point and show that they should be the number one seed. So I think they come out and they play really well, and they get this win. No playoff real implications there other than Kansas City wants the number one spot. Then the Saturday night game, you win and you're in. You lose, you're going home. Actually, there is a scenario where Jacksonville could still make the number 7 seed if New England loses, Miami loses, and Pittsburgh loses. If all three of them lose, Jacksonville will make it as the 7th seed, even if they lose. So that's pretty wild that we would have two AFC South teams that from a division that is so bad. That would be like having two NFC South teams. That is not going to happen. So pretty wild for the AFC that would possibly be a scenario, but I don't think it happens. I think actually Buffalo rests a lot of people, and I think New England goes in there and gets a win. But we shall see. But yeah, that should be a really good game. Jacksonville is favored by 6.5 points. I don't think they have to worry about that loss scenario because I believe that they beat Josh Dobbs and the Tennessee Titans. Not big on the Titans. I think they cover the 6.5 points. I think they win by a touchdown and they lock a spot to the playoffs. As the number 4 seed and the division champions. Houston at Indianapolis. Indianapolis only a 2.5 point favorite. I swear to fucking God, Houston, you better not win this game. We want that number 1 pick. You better not win this game. We have got to lose this game. Got to lose this game. I want that number 1 pick. Do not fuck this up. Or go Chicago, or that's the flip side of this, or it's go Chicago because Chicago's playing Minnesota, and Minnesota could fuck this up. So I would love that very much. If Chicago can get the win, doesn't matter what we do, we're getting that number 1 spot. But I'm going to take Indianapolis only because I need that number 1 pick. I'm not happy about it. I actually think Houston might fuck around and try to win this game, which would be terrible. In Tampa Bay at Atlanta, no playoff implication here. It won't matter either way, but, they say Tom Brady's going to play, of course. Atlanta's a 3-point favorite at home. I think that's a little disrespectful. Of course, I'm going to go Tom Brady. Tom Brady's an underdog. Yeah, I'm going to take that all day long to the bank. But yeah, no playoff implications there. New England at Buffalo. We've talked about it already. There's no spread yet because of the Buffalo game was not finished, so they couldn't give me a spread. But this is a big game. New England's got to get this win. They win, they're in. If they lose, they need a lot of other things to happen. They need Miami to lose. They need the Pittsburgh Steelers to lose. So they need something. They need the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Miami Dolphins, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have to lose if New England loses. If they lose, they are in very deep threat of missing the playoffs. I actually think that's going to happen. I think Buffalo's going to win and cause a whole big flurry of things, a whole big scary to-do about nothing. But I believe that Buffalo will get this win. And I think that Pittsburgh is actually going to get the win over Cleveland. And I think that, let's just skip ahead here to where I think that the Jets could end up beating Miami with Skylar Thompson. And that would knock Miami out of it, and then New England has been eliminated, and so I think Pittsburgh with a win at Pittsburgh against Cleveland, I think that's how you get with Pittsburgh as your number 7 seed, if you can believe it, which would then send them to, well, we'll get to it. Minnesota at Chicago. I'm rooting so hard for Chicago here. Please get this win, not only because I don't believe in Minnesota, but because if you win, we get the number 1 spot. So go Chicago, go. But Minnesota's a 4-point favorite, and I honestly don't think they, especially 4 points. They're not beating anybody by 4 points. They're beating people by field goals, last-second field goals. So, yeah. Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans is a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to take Carolina in this. I think that this game means nothing, but I think for their pride, and I think the way that they want to go out for their interim coach, I think they get this win, or at least cover the 3.5. So I'm going to take Carolina in that. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. We just talked about it. I do think that Pittsburgh gets this win. Cleveland, they've been doing okay, but I think Pittsburgh's a better team than them right now. Especially with Kenny Pickett, who's proved a lot. He proved a lot in that Sunday night game. I think Kenny Pickett is their quarterback going forward, so that was a good pick by them. Of course, that's what the fucking Pittsburgh Steelers do, right? They find another fucking solid quarterback to hold the helm down for the next 20 years. The Los Angeles Chargers are going to the Denver Broncos. Doesn't matter any which way in this game. The Chargers are a 3-point favorite. I have to pick the Chargers because I can't pick the Broncos, and I do. I think they end up winning this game pretty easily. The Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are a 14-point favorite. I don't know. I mean, maybe they got wind that Jalen Hurts come back, and that's fine if he is, but this is his first game back after 2 weeks. I think that he's not going to be able to blow anybody out in this game. I could be wrong, but this is a big playoff implications too because Philly needs this win to become the number 1 seed. They win, they're the number 1 seed. They lose, they could spiral to where they're traveling to Tampa Bay now. So I think the Giants will cover the spread. I think 14's too high, but I do think Philadelphia ends up winning the game and they get the number 1 seed. Arizona at San Francisco, another 14-point spread here. I mean, listen, I want to talk bad about Arizona too, but 14 just seems super high. But I did go back and forth on this. I did think, yeah, but San Francisco's defense is much better than Atlanta's defense, and they just kind of held Arizona down, and Atlanta did when it mattered most. I think they can win by 2 touchdowns. It's risky, but I'm going to take San Francisco to cover there. I doubt it. If I had to be a betting man, I probably would go Arizona to cover the points. Definitely go with Giants to cover that 14. That's crazy. But yeah, I think that Arizona, I think they're bad. I think they're a bad team, so I'm going to go San Francisco. The Rams at Seattle. Seattle is a 6.5-point favorite. Seattle needs this win. They win. They stay alive. They desperately need this win. They need the Green Bay Packers to lose, and they got to win, and they're in. So it should be interesting to see what happens there. I think they cover the 6.5. The Rams have turn into the pumpkin that they are. I'm not big on Baker Mayfield, and I don't believe in him, but I think they end up beating the Rams because they need it so bad. And you saw the way they played against the Jets last week. I think they get it done. Dallas at Washington. No big playoff implications here. Dallas needs the win to kind of keep them in that number 1 seed hopes. Philly would have to lose to the Giants, but I think Dallas covers their 4 points that they're favored by here. I think that Washington, especially with Carson Wentz, very much not it. So I'm gonna take Dallas to beat Washington in this finale and possibly go up in seed. I think Philly wins, so I don't believe they will, but it is a possibility. And then Detroit at Green Bay for all the marbles. Green Bay is a 4.5 point favorite. Green Bay, you win, you're in. Detroit, you win, and Seattle loses, you're in. And that is the scenario that I want to lay out for you. I want to lay out a scenario that I believe is going to happen where Detroit beats Green Bay Packers and the Seattle Seahawks. You know what? I'm going to take it back. I took Seattle in that. I'm going to say the Rams at least cover that 6.5, but hopefully win the game to where they knock Seattle out and Detroit can sneak in. Because I had Detroit as my number 7 seed. I really did believe that might be a case, and I still do. So I'm gonna take the Detroit Lions to upset the Green Bay Packers here, or at least cover the 3.5 point spread, because I think they do keep it close. But this is going to be a great game. Definitely, other than Tennessee-Jacksonville, probably game of the week. I don't think Tennessee-Jacksonville will be as good because I do think that whoever, Josh Dobbs, is not going to really stand a chance against Jacksonville. So this is a really good game. Yeah.
Overtime.
All right, so we're a week away from the playoffs, and I just wanted to roll out some scenarios that are going down. I definitely think that there are going to be some upsets in the NFC, not necessarily in the AFC, but I do think there's going to be some upsets. The AFC, the way I see it, because I do have Kansas City rolling over the Raiders, I have New England possibly getting a win against Buffalo, maybe covering the points, and maybe that's why I picked Buffalo to just cover the points, but maybe lose the game. I don't know. I don't know what I'm rooting for. I don't know what I think is going to happen, but New England's the question mark there. It doesn't matter whoever you plug into that AFC spot. It can be Miami or Pittsburgh. It doesn't matter, because I believe Kansas City wins, and I believe that Cincinnati wins one of these last 2 games, but I can't give them both. And so that will put them in the number 2 seed. So I'll have them beat Buffalo and then lose to Baltimore. Won't change anything for Baltimore, but it will make it to where Cincinnati wins that division, which would bring the number 7 seed to them, and it would put Buffalo at the number 3 seed. Complicated, but it's what my brain kind of did last night. I don't know. It doesn't matter, because I believe all the home teams in the AFC are going to win. Right now I have Cincinnati beating the number 7 New England. Could possibly be Pittsburgh. I have the number 3 seed Buffalo beating the Baltimore Ravens. I think that's pretty safe to say, especially with Lamar Jackson having not played in a month. And then I have the Jacksonville Jaguars upsetting the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is all but set up just because Jacksonville, I think, is going to win this game. And when they do, the Chargers are the 5 seed. They're not going to move from there. I think this is a good game. I think this is the tightest game of the AFC. But I think Jacksonville can get it done. I'm not crazy about the Los Angeles Chargers. I think on paper you would say the Chargers should win, but I would not be shocked if the Jacksonville Jaguars get a playoff win here. It would immediately be followed by a loss because they'll have to play Cincinnati, Buffalo, or Kansas City. I believe they'd end up having to go to Kansas City. That's not good. But I still like Jacksonville getting a W here. In the NFC, things are a little weirder. Philly, I think, will lock up that number 1 seed with a win over the Giants here on Week 18. San Francisco has locked up the 2 seed, and Minnesota has locked up the 3, and Tampa Bay has locked up the 4, so those aren't going to move. You don't know who the number 7 seed is right now. The other games are already set. I did lay out a scenario where it's Detroit. Maybe it's Green Bay. I could see Green Bay maybe upsetting San Francisco, but I doubt it. I think San Francisco beats whoever that number 7 seed is just because of defense, and Brock Purdy will get it done. But that would be a very interesting game to see. I will give a fighter's chance to Detroit or Seattle or Green Bay, one of those teams that could come in there and possibly upset San Francisco. Because I'll tell you where I do smell an upset, and it's the New York Giants over the Minnesota Vikings. I already told you I don't believe in them. I really, really don't, and I think the Giants can get it done, and I think they will. And then Tampa Bay, Dallas is going to have to come to Tampa Bay. Oh, of course I'm going Tampa Bay. Of course I think Tom Brady's going to get it done, and I think that's an upset because of the records and the way that Dallas has played all year. You would think they're easily going to take care of Tampa Bay, but it's not so easy to take out my man. My man is a bad, bad mother trucker, mother. I don't know what that accent was. I've talked for a while here. I'm sure it's been over an hour. The boy's voice is back, ready to roll and rumble and go low and go high and do all that I gotta do. I love having my voice back. But yeah, fuck off. Fuck the algorithm. Get better, DeMar Hamlin. Tom Brady.